to 2018 Horror Month, and I got a good one for you tonight. This is the remake of The Blob. Now, I didn't even know this came out on Blu-ray, but one of my maniacs, Jason, on here, mentioned it to me and says, hey, this company called Umbrella is supposed to be doing a really good job releasing these DVDs, or these Blu-rays, and they're supposed to look really good and everything, and I think this is from Australia, but it's region free. So if you have like an Xbox player or a PlayStation 4, you can watch this. Even though it's a foreign movie, it's coming from a different country, it'll still play on your player. Now, before I jump into the Blob review, I actually did a unboxing for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that real quick so you can see my reaction to unboxing the Blob. Okay, so here you go. Here is the cover for this Umbrella, is what this company is called, DVD, Blu-ray, and this basically looks like the cover from the movie. I mean, they didn't really go out and do anything. I guess it's a cover from the movie, but it doesn't look like they did anything special for the cover. Now, the weird thing here, I guess because this came from Australia, down here it says for mature audiences only. I don't have that on any other of my Blu-ray, so that makes it a little interesting. On the back here are images from the movie, and it does have a few special features. I would like to see more, but I don't know how long these special features are. But of course, I will get into them when I do the review. But let's open it up and see if there's anything special on the inside. Alright, so let's take a look and see what's on the inside. Well, that's kind of cool. I like the disc. That's pretty cool what they did. It's basically the same picture, but it's on the actual disc. It's pretty cool looking. But as for the inside of it, it's exactly like the outside, which is weird. I don't think I've seen that before. It's the exact cover. Usually it's either blank or it has something different, but nope, it's the same cover one way or the other. So yeah, I wasn't sure about Umbrella. I had no idea if they did anything special with their DVDs. As I'm recording this, I don't know what order I'm going to be posting this in, but this is the first Umbrella DVD that I have bought. So yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect. Alright, so there you go. There is what the DVD looks like. Alright, there you go. There was my unboxing for it. It's okay, I guess. It's not like a Scream Factory release or an Arrow release, but it's okay. I mean, it's an alright packaging that they released here. So getting into the actual Blob, I, of course, love the original, and the original is a classic, and they came out with several sequels to the original. I don't know how many they actually made, but then it just kind of fell off the planet, and you didn't hear about the Blob anymore. So when this remake was coming out, I believe it came out in the 1980s? Late 1980s, I think this came out. I was super excited because the Blob is one of those monsters that is just a phenomenal idea for a monster. It's just a big mass that is intelligent. Nobody really knows. Where did it come from? Nobody really knows that. They kind of explain it in this one a little bit, where it came from. But in the original, it just fell to Earth in a meteor. I mean, it was out in space. Did it get created in space? Did it come from an alien planet? Nobody really knew. And that's what made it interesting, because nobody knew if it had any sort of intelligence, or if it was just like an eating machine, sort of like me, or or if it was just, you know, nobody. And the thing is, with the Blob, it would all consume you. It was an all-consuming creature. So if you got stuck into the mass of the thing, you are automatically devoured inside of it. And watching that, when I watched that as a kid, it scared me to death. And I can tell you the story, it's not going to be a nightmare time story or anything. It's real short, but my sister and I actually watched this. I still have the memory of watching the original Blob. We were sitting down in the basement, and it was the Blob and the Children, I believe, was the other one. The thing with the kids that had the black fingernails who could touch people and burn them. So that's one of the fond memories I had of the original Blob. So when this one came out, I was like, oh man, I gotta go see it. And then I started seeing some previews for it, to where the Blob, when it would eat somebody, you could see them, it's still being digested, floating around inside of it. And I thought, oh my God, that is the greatest idea ever. So they just took the Blob to, you know, the next level here. Now, this is a remake, obviously, of the original one, like I said. And this is how you do remakes. This is how a remake should be done, because it's sort of the original. I mean, and they kind of follow the story of the original, you know, small town, and the old guy finds the meteor, he sticks it with a stick, it gets on his hand, it takes him into, all that is still there, but they sort of upgraded it to the point where it's really its own movie, sort of. It becomes its own thing, and it's a great film. It really is. It is a fantastic film that I don't think that many people have seen, and I don't even know if a lot of people don't even know it exists, to tell you the truth. I don't even know if people know there's a remake of The Blob, because after this, nothing again. It's been, what, I don't know how many years since this thing came out, but there's been no other Blob films ever. And it's just weird. Here you have a classic monster, and no one's ever attempted to make another one. I just find that so weird. There was a rumor going around for many years that Rob Zombie was supposed to be doing another Blob remake, but that never came out. I was really excited when I heard about that too. I was like, wow, he could actually kind of do something interesting with that. But nope, never came out, and nothing ever came out of it. So, but in the world of CG today, I'm sure they could, you know, do amazing stuff with the Blob. But back in the day when they made this movie, there is no CG in this film. It's all practical effects. And that's why I love this movie so much. When you see the Blob, it's like, I don't know what they made the thing out of, but it's like this goo, obviously, and it has tentacles now. It shoots out tentacles, and it grabs a hold of people. And the practical effects in this movie are beautiful. They are just something to watch and something to devour, like the Blob. You sit there and you want to devour all these practical effects because you don't see them anymore. And this reminded me a lot of John Carpenter's The Thing, because the practical effects in this movie are almost as good as The Thing. They were that good. They did such a great job showing how the Blob ate somebody. And it's, in this movie, I guess it was supposed to be in the original film, but they didn't really go there. But it's sort of like an acid-like creature, to when it attacks you, it will burn your skin. It literally will just burn you alive, and that's how it, you know, you go inside of it, because it's devouring your body and it's melting you from the inside. Sort of like a gelatinous cube from Dungeons and Dragons, if you know what that thing is. And that's what this is. I mean, obviously, that's what the Blob is. And the way they did all the effects in this movie, and I was sitting there just watching, I was like, oh my God, that looks so great. Why don't they do this anymore? I said this during our Day of the Dead review, that as gross as Day of the Dead was, and as gross as those effects were in Day of the Dead, I don't find them gross. I find them amazing. I find them, like I said, I think they're a beautiful thing to watch. They are an amazing artwork, a lost form of art that you don't ever see anymore. And watching this film brings that back, and it's so great to actually see that. It's so fun to see a puppet, or, you know, a sculpture of a person who is half devoured or is being eaten alive by the Blob. And I just love it. It's just, oh man, I can't talk enough about it. The acting here isn't that bad. I mean, again, I don't think anybody came out of this movie as superstars. I don't know if anyone in this movie went off to do anything else either. I don't know. Most of these people in here are unknowns to me. I don't know any of them, I don't think. I think there was one guy in this that was in the first RoboCop movie. Yeah, I can't even talk anymore. I've been doing so many reviews today that my voice is gone. So I'm going to try to wrap this up and make it a little bit shorter than some of my other reviews. But yeah, it's just a really fun movie. And it's a movie you can actually kind of watch with your kids. It is gross, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of really gross scenes in the movie. But, you know, it's October, and it's horror month, and it's the month to be scared and to watch scary films. And it's not overly gross, and it's not as gross as stuff you see today, I guess. But being that they're practical effects, it makes it a little bit more disturbing watching it, because it's obviously not a CG character that has CG blood, you know, and everything. So yeah, it's so good. And if you've never seen the remake of The Blob or never heard of The Blob, I cannot recommend this movie more to you. And Umbrella did a great job with the transfer. And I was hoping that Scream Factory or Arrow or somebody was finally going to release this. They probably will, you know, now that I bought it from this company. There's only 2 extras on here. There is directing the Blob in an interview with the director. I don't know how long either one of those are. I haven't watched them. I'm going to watch them now and then come back and give you the review of the extras. But if Arrow or if Scream Factory do get a hold of this and release a ton of extras, I have no problem buying this over again because I enjoy the movie that much. So overall, this film, the remake, how you do a remake is right here, people. This is how it's done. Gets the Golden Machete. This is a classic. I think it's just as good as the original. I think that everything in this film is great, and they mixed in the original with their own thing, and that's why this movie works so well. Alright, so let's get on to the two extras. I don't know much about Umbrella. I don't know what they do with their extras. I do have one more Umbrella movie that I have yet to watch, and I'll be bringing that to you sometime this month. But this is my first one that I have, and I'm hopefully going to watch the other one tonight and get the review up to you soon, because it's, you know, we only have 1 month to do this, so. Anyway, I'm done rambling. Here are the extras for The Blob.
Hi everybody, welcome back. It's 2018, it's horror month, and I am someone that you're not used to seeing. I'm Becky Graves, and I'm here to jump in and help Dave and Vince with these reviews. So I'm going to be taking a look at the extras on this movie, which is the remake of The Blob. Actually, I don't really have too much to go into for this movie because there's only two extras. There's an interview with the director Chuck Russell called Directing the Blob, and the theatrical trailer. Directing the Blob. So this is an interview with the director of the movie, Chuck Russell. He talks a little bit about how he was looking to get into directing movies, and so he thought The Blob would be a good remake. So he tracked down the person who directed the original movie, Jack Harris, and he had the rights to the original Blob, and got him to agree that doing a remake was a good idea. Then he took the idea to New Line Cinema, and he had never directed before. So first, Bob Shaye, the guy who runs New Line, told him that he wanted him to direct Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. So that was actually his first directing job. Once he had directed that movie, then he did the remake of The Blob. And it just kind of goes into his whole experience. So he talks a little bit about how he co-wrote the movie with Frank Darabont, whose name you might know from other Stephen King movies and also The Walking Dead. He was a co-writer of the screenplay. He also talks a bit about the practical effects that they did in this movie. They didn't have very much of a budget, and also there was not a lot of CG effects at that time. This was made in 1988, I believe. A lot of practical effects, a lot of miniature work, combinations between, you know, large-scale practical effects and miniatures, and, you know, some digital effects, I guess, and how that all went together. So that was really interesting. He also did mention that the person that did the practical effects is Lyle Conway, who was the person who built Audrey 2 for Little Shop of Horrors, which I found really interesting. So he just kind of goes into that and kind of goes into their whole experience of making the movie, talks about the different actors, character actors, things like that. And overall, I found it really interesting. It wasn't very long, maybe 10-15 minutes. And yeah, I thought it was a good extra and very interesting to watch. And the only other extra that is on this movie is the theatrical trailer, which I found interesting because you can tell that it kind of came out around the same time or maybe after John Carpenter's The Thing, because the influence of The Thing on this trailer, like you can tell just the way that it's edited, the way that it's shot, seems like they were trying to draw a lot of inspiration from that. So I found that interesting. But that's it. Overall, you know, interesting for what it was. Not very much there, but there you go.